Hello again, guys. It's Keith with Bulletproof RC, and I'm on page 14 of the Axial Yeti Score Trophy Truck Kit. And as promised, I'm giving you an update on the build process. I've decided to use a few upgrades along the way. I'm not going to go over the top like I did on the Rock Racer. As you can see, I got ahead of myself and I went ahead and built the body, or painted the body and built the cage, and it has LEDs installed. I'll go over that in more detail later. But anyway, I've got nearly every aluminum part that you can purchase for the Rock Racer installed. That's quite a heavy vehicle. I didn't want to do that with the Score Trophy Truck, but there are a few aluminum parts that I think are necessary. And one of the first things I want to mention is I did put fast eddy bearings in this kit. My first axial vehicle was an RTR Axial XO. I had lots and lots of problems with the bearings in that RTR, and replaced them eventually with fast eddy bearings. Didn't have any more issues. Since then, I've purchased 3 kits. I purchased a Axial XO kit and built it from the ground up with the fast eddy bearings, Yeti XL, which I did the same, and the Rock Racer. And I have not had any bearing failures since I went fast eddy, so highly recommend those bearings. With the rear axle, I've seen a number of guys with the RTR Score Trophy Truck saying that it is the front end's heavier than the rear end, and it nosedives on jumps. So I decided to build the rear axle with a little bit of weight to it, non-rotational mass. What you can't see is beef tubes have been installed, and I can't remember the name of the manufacturer, but if you do a quick Google search, it'll come right up for you. Beef tubes. They make them for the Yeti, Wraith, SEX10 and so forth, which, you know, a lot of axial vehicles use the same rear axle. But anyway, beef tubes add strength to the plastic to keep the rear axle from snapping, and then they're also designed to give the weight. On top of that, they actually have threaded inserts, or they're threaded inside, so that way when you put your rear lockouts in, you're not threaded into just plastic, you're going into the metal. So alright, then I have the STRC diff cover, just for a little bling. That is Extra Speed is the brand of the upper truss, the link mounts, and the lockouts. So that completes the rear axle, and it actually has a little bit of weight to it, which is down low and non-rotational mass, which is what you need for this truck. On the front end, I had a leftover GPM front bulkhead. When I say leftover, I ordered them in pairs when I built my Rock Racer. It was cheaper that way as per piece, and I knew that down the road I'd be purchasing the trophy truck. So anyway, I went ahead and got 2 of these when I built the Rock Racer. And that's a Boom Racing front shock tower. And I'm not real sure of the manufacturer of the body mount post right there, the silver one. I had it left over because I bought a blue and a silver one before, and I used the blue one on the Rock Racer. I mentioned before, one of the best features of the kit, any axial kit, is the HD gears. The RTR vehicles that Axial sells come with pot metal ring and pinion diff gears, and they are just absolutely junk. You may get a little bit of run time out of them on a rock crawler, but as far as a high-speed vehicle of any sort, they just wear out so fast. These HD gears are available for purchase for any RTR, but they come standard in the kit, and I have had, I've got these in my XO kit, I've got these in my Yeti Rock Racer, and you can, when doing routine maintenance, take them apart, look at them, there's zero wear. So these are a welcome addition to the kit. a nice upgrade that Axial added over the hot metal gears. Anyway, guys, that concludes the step 1 of the build process. I'm going to pause the video, get back to wrenching, and come back at you with a little bit of update in a minute. Okay, guys, got the front clip of the truck done, mounted to the chassis, and I went with a hot racing steering rack on my Axial Yeti rock racer. This time around I just went with the drag link. It is sold separately and you don't have to buy the whole linkage. Pretty cheap, and I hoped that it would function with the stock servo saver and function as needed. So we'll see how that turns out. So far so good, looks good so far. Had a little bit of a problem with one of my orders. I ordered some aluminum knuckles and steering hubs, and I got these two steering hubs and they're exactly the same. There's supposed to be a right and a left, and I got two, I believe they're both rights. So anyway, wasn't able to use those. Went ahead and ordered some GPM knuckles so I could finish this off when they come in instead of using these plastic ones. This is a common area for breakage on this particular car, so, or at least it was on the XO, so we'll replace that soon. In the meantime, while I'm waiting on those knuckles to come in, I've got 3 sets of these plastic ones to go through if I do break them. And I went with the aluminum, I guess that's a front toe block, I guess that's what you would call it. And those are Carter Fab hinge pins. I mentioned that on my Yeti build. They're just a higher quality steel over the stock. Let's see if I can get in the camera here. That's the stock hinge pin. These tend to bend pretty easily. They did on my rock racer. And anyway, Carter Fab sells these and they're higher quality. I haven't bent one of those yet. So anyway, that's where we are so far, guys. I'm going to get back to wrenching. Alright guys, I got the ESC installed and the servo installed and the receiver. I'm going with a Hobbywing SC8 120 amp ESC, which came with its own bracket that mounts to the bottom of the ESC, bolts right up. Savox servo 1258. I think it's about 150 ounces of torque with lightning fast speed. I don't know the exact specs, but I use the 1258 in nearly everything. Short course trucks, buggies, anything like that that turns a short course style wheel, it does a great job. Decided to mount the switch here. The switch that comes with the SC8 doesn't mount in the rear position that the Yeti has for a switch, so it's just double-sided tape down to the servo. Seems to be intact pretty decently. Didn't go with a BEC on this one because the Hobbywing ESC has 6 volts output, and that's the maximum at which the Savox servo, this particular one, can handle. So it should do great. Did go ahead and put a glitch buster in there just to make sure the Savox servo doesn't cause brownouts. And alright, the next step is the center transmission.